Hello, this is Mr. Inadequate, and we are playing Suzerain. This is episode 3, and I want to check this out. Okay. Port of Lock Haven loses importance. The latest marine traffic shows that the Port of Lock Haven is no longer the busiest of the Mercapa continent, falling behind to the third position. While this is a negative indicator for our administration, Lock Haven still has the potential to shine again as a major training center. The Port of Lock Haven is the largest port of Swordland and holds enormous importance for the economy, particularly as the main distribution center linking the capital and inner parts of Swordland to the rest of the world. This major port city will hopefully keep supporting a possible economic upturn in the entire country if investment projects succeed. Okay. Lack of investment from Avery. The mayor of Avery, Eric Neal, reports a lack of adequate infrastructure around Avery, which seriously undermines the attractiveness of Avery's investment climate. Foreign investors, particularly from Magnolia, are becoming hesitant to invest in the city. Meanwhile, according to data published by the National Business Council, around 19% of a company's total expenditures in England is absorbed by logistics costs, while in peer regions the figure is below 10%. Okay, just going to go around reading these reports. Low production. Low levels of productivity growth in the region of England, where there are also high rates of food insecurity, malnutrition, and rural poverty in inner parts of the region. Okay. Anything else? I see two others. So let's see what this says down here. Increasing homelessness in Dare. The region of Bergia is among the worst hit regions in Swordland, where homelessness has skyrocketed since the economic recession. The number of homeless in the city of Dare is more likely to have increased by 25% in the last year. The rise was particularly stark among Bludish people, where the homelessness increased by 72% in just 6 years. It is reported that homelessness among ethnic minorities has reached the highest level in more than a decade. The Bludish minority of the region now account for 47% of all homeless people there. Okay, so we've got a lot of problems. Now what's this? Well, 3 things. Campaign finance bill. Okay. Electoral campaign finance bill. The criteria for the allocation of public funds shall no longer be according to the number of votes won in the general election by a political party. The new criteria shall be the proportion of the seats won by a political party in the assembly. Political parties shall receive an annual amount of 500, was that 500,000? I'm not sure. It looks like a period. But Ren per member of assembly. This results in a doubling of the USP election budget and a slight increase in the parties of the assembly, while effectively removing all funding from parties that are below the 10% election threshold. We're going to sign it. Okay. Read the report from Holzer. Party Committee Report. The Reform Committee reports that any potential change to the Constitution in the direction of the reformists will likely result in strong opposition from the National Front Party. The members of Assembly in support of such direction seem to be in great numbers and possibly make up a majority in the Grand National Assembly, while most members of the United Swordland Party seem reluctant about supporting such changes. Okay, briefing on the current economic situation, White Room, Marin Palace. Simon Hall, Gus Manger, and Lilia Scroff were about to arrive at the White Room for a scheduled economy meeting. This was in the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings are held. Two assistants arrived first carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door waiting for the ministers to enter. From the hallway, I heard Lilius's Graf's voice. She was using the patient, almost motherly tone she often took in heated arguments. Lilius: Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is in more need of investment than England? Lilius: my interior minister strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige, the only spot of color a bright yellow Nura star on her necklace. Gus followed close behind. Gus: don't be an idiot, Lilius. What about the unemployment crisis in the greater Holstein and Gelsland regions are going through? These areas are economic heartland. Gus curled his hands into fists. The miniature of agricultural and rural development's temper hasn't changed since his days in the Alfonso administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network of connections was like any other. This is going to be difficult, I foresee. Simon Hall quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. Simon: good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Simon Hall: I am very well motivated, Mr. Rain. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. Now I can choose. Just as expected. How is it going, Gus and Lilius? 2, I can clearly see that. What was that discussion about? 3, great to hear. Let's begin. I'm going to go with 3. Simon: of course, Mr. President. Simon pulled a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of... He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold up the heavy projector. Simon: oh, you can put that there. He pointed below the painting of President Sol. The assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed a white screen on the wall. Simon: leave now. Thank you, and please leave now. The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Swordland. Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentation around with him. We'll wait. Lilius leaned to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estord? While going through his briefcase, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to a government property boundary issue. I have been meaning to look at it. Lilius: I can take a look at that one. Estord needs all the security help it can get. Simon: sure, more time for me to spend on analysis. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some developments about the Suzerain losing further value today. We've been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. The recession of '51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of concern for our administration. Simon: what would you like to know about the current economic situation? Okay, what is our GDP and debt situation? Or what is our unemployment and inflation rate? What is the status of the recession? Let's go with 1. Our current GDP is 310 billion Suzerain, and the national debt is 427 billion. Gus, it's still hard to fathom that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. Okay, what is our unemployment inflation rate? Unemployment has skyrocketed, is now at a staggering 16%, and the inflation rate is a relative high of 7%. Lilas. Unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. Okay, what is the status of the recession? Simon, the economy has been in recession of about minus 6% in the past year. The average GDP has dropped from SR 15,454 per capita to SR 10,359 from 1951 to now. This administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. Okay, I have all the information needed. Let's move on to the economic strategy. Simon scattered the paper stack in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at his notes before clearing his throat. Simon, as you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alfonso left us a large budget surplus, which we can use to stabilize the crisis. The primary subject we need to settle on is what general path we will take in our term. Solonomics-based nationalism happened in the 30s, and Alfonso's privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of our main promises was to promote a planned economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I still don't think this was a good idea. Gus, we shouldn't go back to the Solonomics. It was the reason of the recession. Lilia, self-sufficiency will help us in tough times. Simon ignored the statement. Okay, my choices. Economic systems without regulation are bound to fail. What are the consequences of the free market? The more of the economy we control, the better we can manage the recession. What are the let's ask what the downsides are of our campaign promise. Simon, it is clear that most of the state corporations and other government-controlled systems are less efficient. Lilius, the government of Suzerain and its institutions or corporations have had a solid history of delivering. Simon, the structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at the time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. Lilius, that is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. I'll agree with that. Gus, finally something we can both agree on, Lilius, there is another important point which has a direct impact on our economy. Superpowers. We might have won the election, but I'm still against aligning ourselves with the superpowers. Economically speaking, we aren't as tied to United Cortana as we are to Arcasia, so a decision to align to the east is much more difficult to accomplish. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised about Sortland. We cannot give in to their wants now or in the future, otherwise our country will turn into a pawn. I want you to reconsider your promise to align with the United Cantana. Okay, I made a promise to people of Sortland I won't back down. 2, don't worry, I won't let United Cantana control Sortland. 3, there is a revolution that was started by United Cantana, a permanent revolution, and Sortland must be part of it. 4, you may be right. Let's see what the future brings. So, a hard promise to stay, a promise not to let them interfere. The revolution is what's important. This is the way I see it. And waffling. And we are going to waffle. You may be right. Let's see what the future brings. Gus Manager, I'm also with Lilius on this one. Nothing good will come out of siding with United Cantana. Aligning with them may make us adversaries to Arcasia, a much more influential nation in my view. Although not for the same reasons, that 2 things we are agreeing on today, Gus. When the time comes, I hope you'll make the right decision for our own good. Simon cleared his throat again. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Whiskey will be in charge of informing you on those types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide our internal economic plan. Simon put forth a legal document excuse me, outlining the possibilities with both economic doctrines listed. The cabinet members looked at me. Okay, decisions. 1. We have to thank Saul and his planned economy for the boom. It clearly shows the success of the system. 2. Let's finish what Alfonso started with the capitalist free market reforms. His path was going to enrich Swordland. 3. Would a planned economy focus bring us stronger allies? 4. What's our long-term economic schedule? Would a planned economy focus bring us stronger allies? Lilius, it would make United Cantana diplomatically look at our country in a more positive light. They are proponents of the planned economy. Simon, the influence Arcasia has on the world economy is extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on internal reasoning, though. Okay. Let's go to 3. What is our long-term economic schedule? Simon, picking a construction company, trade relations, tax reform, and welfare, privatization, or national munitions would be some of them. Thus, we must choose wisely and remember that the free market economy in all forms is the future of the world. I wouldn't be so sure, says Lilius. Okay. I'm going to go with 2, which means I'm caving in to my ministers. Let's finish what Alfonso started with the capitalist free market reforms. His path was going to enrich Swordland. The recession was the direct result of his free market reforms. Gus, history must note that the reason for the recession was because Ewald Alfonso was betrayed by his party. Well, that is not true. There was plenty of time for him to do it. If you can't make change happen in 2 years, then you are at fault. Let's move on. I thought I was agreeing with him. I guess I was not. What are your final thoughts then, Mr. President? Says Simon. Okay, we got four choices. Critical institutions must remain in state control. We must be fully responsible in delivering services. 2, we should look at opportunities like privatization to create financial resources. 3, our market economy doesn't require as much guidance and could help us attract foreign capital. 4, it is hard to fully agree or disagree. I'm going to go with 3. We need to attract foreign capital. Okay, our market economy doesn't require as much guidance, can help us attract foreign capital. Simon, especially from Arcasia, President Walker is always interested in expanding the economic zone of ATO. We could secure lucrative investments from capitalist countries. So what will our general economic plan promote? Here we go. We're going to renege. I'm a politician after all. Promote a free market economy. I can't say that I agree with this, Lilius. Lilius looks displeased. Now that there is clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. In our next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. Now that the economic direction was taken, the ministers dispersed for lunch at the Maroon Palace. Okay. Let's look at this one. Infrastructure report from Lenkerd. The recent collapse of the tourist industry in Lenkerd has led to a reduction in trade traffic and road maintenance. The road network is currently in service, but is in need of substantial improvement. Ports, country roads, bridges similarly suffer from a lack of investment. Firms doing business in Lenkerd report a significant shortage of warehousing facilities, particularly refrigerated facilities, with implications both for the transportation system and the ability to serve the population's basic food and health needs. I want to get the little ones done first. Let's get this one over here. Increasing unemployment. Number of people filing for unemployment Morna continues to rise as the recession continues. The change in economic conditions is historic and stunning in its speed, said the mayor of Morna. In the aftermath of the crisis of 1951, the unemployment rate in Morna rose to 9% the following year. The last 6 months have almost erased all gains in employment over the last 2 decades. Okay, we'll do this one. Promising agricultural growth. For the first time in 3 years, the agricultural output of Sinai has increased. Many experts link the increased output to both a drop in temperatures and new farming practices that have been adopted in recent years. Additionally, farmers are now accessing more generous credit allowances from the government that were left over from the Alfonso administration. The Ministry of Agriculture reports that the region's agricultural industry has the potential to become a powerhouse in the future if investments persist. Okay. Gelsord Infrastructure Report. The recession led to a reduction in rail assets, with more than a fifth of the railway network, itself antiquated, being mothballed in the recent years. While the main lines of the railway network are currently in service, increasing demand in goods from Gelsord to the capital is pushing the deadline to its limits. The rail signaling system in the region dates from the middle of the last century and is also in need of improvement. Oh, great. Anything else? Then let's go to these. Invest in mega infrastructure. The Ministry of Economy has put forward 2 bold plans for mega infrastructure projects that would help with the economic recession in the long term. Investing in projects of this scale will take up some portion of our budget, but could prove worthwhile if accomplished successfully. Okay, invest or reject. We're going to invest. Okay. Discussion of the potential infrastructure projects. The view towards the Marcaine Sea from Loch Haven was nothing short of exquisite. The seaside state residence, fittingly named the Blue Mansion, was large, fine, and accommodating. But enjoying the luxurious mansion wasn't the main reason of our visit. We gathered the economic team here to discuss the new infrastructure investment project. Half hour had already passed since the start of the meeting. Unfortunately, I did not even have the chance to have my usual afternoon coffee. Oh my God. Looking at the view from the windows, I let my mind drift for a couple of seconds. Simon's voice brought me back into the ongoing discussion. Simon, Mr. President, we need to focus on boosting the economy as quickly as possible. One of the fastest ways to achieve this is through infrastructure projects. I agree. I'm going to nod. Well, on the one hand, businessmen are complaining about the slow logistical rail network between Hulsford and Loch Haven. Others started talking as soon as Simon took a breath. On the other hand, citizens are criticizing the lack of a proper highway connection between Loch Haven and Arbury. The narrow roads by the seaside are not only dangerous, but also difficult to traverse. Okay, heed the calls of the businessmen, pick the most profitable option, citizens and their demands. Okay, I'm trying to increase capitalism, and I'm going to go, we need to pick the most profitable option. Excuse me. Gus, which is absolutely connecting our 2 most economically powerful cities. Lelius, is not the business people who suffer, but the ordinary folk. Simon, what really matters, though, is that we can accomplish something tangible in your first economic act. Yeah, I agree with that. We must improve the economy of the nation and bring it out of recession, or we must prove our administrative capabilities. The people must know that this administration can get things done. I'm going to go with 2. We got to get out of this recession. Simon, therefore, I define two important projects for your attention: the H3 Highway Project and the L1 High Speed Railroad Project. Mr. Hall repositioned himself on the chair to take a more comfortable position. Simon, the ministry can only support one project at a time with the current capacity and budget. Let's move on to the details of each. So, which one do you want to hear about first? We'll go with number. Well, it's either the H3 Highway Project or the L1 High Speed Rail Project. We'll go with the Highway Project first. I want to hear about both. The H3 project aims to improve the abysmal state of the road network in the Anglin region bordering Agnolia. The area is home to several million Agno-Sortish and Sortish who feel neglected. There are no proper highway connections to and from Anglin. The mayor of Everett, Eric Neal, has been asking for a bigger budget to develop the regional infrastructure. Liz, he told us that even trucks are having a hard time traveling through the main roads. The increased traffic is causing trouble for people commuting in and out of the region. Okay, we can't leave the request of Eric Neal, a poverty member, unanswered. That must be cumbersome for the citizens. I agree this could also hurt the local businesses. Not sure if this region is a priority for us now. I'm going to hit 3. I agree this could also hurt the local businesses. It is, bless their souls. I'm happy we're thinking alike on the matter. Let's look at the map. Look at the map. Lock Haven. I looked at the map. Lilius was pointing at Lock Haven. The H3 highway route starts at here and needs to lead to Lenkert. There. So from here to there. And from there it goes all the way to Arbory. So from here to there. As a result, the road network towards the Agnolian capital, Stallport, will improve substantially. She paused and leaned forward in her chair. I saw the central government continuously neglect the Agno-Sortish dominated regions when I was mayor. Is this administration going to continue that kind of negligence? Okay, we should no longer neglect a key region for our trade with Agnolia. We should make Agno-Sortish citizens be respected as swords like all of us. It makes little sense to put investments in such a remote region. I'm going to go with 1. We should no longer neglect a key region for our trade with Agnolia. Trade. Money. That's my idea. Yes, Gus. Yes, sure. But most goods flow to Lock Haven and Halsford, which give importance to logistics there. Simon, it has to point it out that the highway would be less beneficial in the near term. Lilius, I have to disagree. It will increase the speed of transportation throughout the region. Our citizens will be quite pleased if we successfully accomplish this. Besides, if we enter trade talks with Agnolia, they would see the investment as a positive sign. I want to hear about the other project. This is very interesting, but could you tell me about the railway project? Probably going to go with the highway, but I want to hear it. Your predecessor, Alfonso, has failed to deliver on this campaign promise. But we now have the opportunity to start the construction of the groundbreaking railway project. As you know, our current trains cannot meet the standards of today. As many other countries adopt this new electric engine technology to power up the trains, we fall one step behind. News about the electric trains in United Cantana had piqued the business interests, said Gus. They too wanted to transport resources and material from Halsford to Lock Haven with great speed and efficiency. Not yet fully convinced. Please explain further. Our plan is to upgrade the old L1 line from Halsford to Lock Haven. It will transform to a high-speed rail. Look at the map. Halsford. And that's Lock. Okay. The planned construction starts right here at the Capitol. It will go to Enrica first, then connect to Gelsford. So it'll go from here to here to here, and probably go to Lock Haven. And then connect to Gelsford, after which it will reach Lock Haven, our economic powerhouse. L1 will significantly boost the economy in the newly linked cities and even the rural areas in between. Lock Haven is the primary port, so the goods unloaded there will be transported to Hulsa much faster. Okay. 1. Yes, we should link these rural areas to the middle with the major cities of Sordland. 2. I believe this would benefit the businesses in Sordland as a whole. Investments in already developed regions make little sense. I'm going to go with 3. I completely agree. Our attentions must be diverted to the needy, said Lilius. H3 makes more sense. The mayor of Enrica, Curtis Less, also requested this project to be prioritized. Businessmen in the region will be very content, which increases investments in employment. Therefore, I will recommend the L1 high-speed rail project. I have settled on a decision. Excellent. What will your final choice be, Mr. President? Okay, I can go. I've decided on the H3 highway project to improve the infrastructure in our poorer regions. I've decided that the L1 high-speed rail project to improve the connection between our most productive cities. I'm going to probably do the foolish thing. I'm going to do the H3 highway. Hopefully attract trade from Magnolia. Thank God, I knew that you would see reason. Simon, the negotiations will begin in the middle of this year. You will be able to award the contract to a corporation of your choice. The ministry estimates that the entire construction will finish in 2 years if every step forward going is executed successfully. Good. Is there anything else? That should be all, Mr. President. Simon's kind of pissed at me, I think. Lilius, see you soon, Mr. Rain. Gus, have a nice day, Mr. President. Lilius likes me now. Everything's settled on the beautiful coastline of Lock Haven. Okay. Now, Holsford. Let's see what this one is. Invest in Arcasian Company stocks. A personal investment opportunity has been relayed by Mr. Manger. An experienced stockbroker in Ventry City, Arcasia, is selling valuable shares of Armadine Industries, an up-and-coming electronics manufacturing company. We could invest or let the opportunity pass. We're going to buy 1,000 shares. What's our next thing? Okay, this is Mr. Inadequate playing Suzerain, and this is episode 3. I think the game's looking interesting. We'll see how I do. You can comment if you think I've been doing things wrongly. I'll take information, and this is the end of it. I'll see you next time.